You about how taxpayer dollars are being spent.
Concerns over education transparency. Fox 45 News Project Baltimore demands answers on your behalf. Maryland's college fund freeze leaves a mother scrambling to pay her daughter's tuition.
I feel very betrayed by the state of Maryland.
The length she's going to make the payments.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
We're on weather alert tonight, weeks after Canadian wildfires brought hazy scenes like this to our area. Another round of smoke starting to arrive. Good evening, I'm Maxine Stryker.
And I'm Mary Bubala. The smoke already moving into our area today. Take a look at this. You can see the smoke moving into Baltimore County from our Towson camera today. If you go outside now, you can smell it and actually even taste it in the air.
And take a look at these images from Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. More than 80 million Americans are under a code red air quality alert because of the smoke. And tomorrow will be added to that list as well. Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers has what you need to know.
Yeah, and that air quality already coming down tonight. As you mentioned, you can see it, you can smell it, you can taste it. It's that Canadian wildfire smoke moving back in once again on west and northwest winds. Hence, the air feels great. It's nice and dry, but unfortunately, the air quality is almost not breathable. A code red air quality alert for the entire area. Now, this time around, it's not so much New York, Boston. If you remember the last time, a lot of this stuff kind of came through eastern portions of New York down to Philadelphia and then here to Baltimore. Now it's kind of arcing from Quebec all the way back through Toronto, down to Detroit, Indianapolis, and then coming around the bend toward Richmond and here in Baltimore. Already, we have some poor air quality that's edging in from the west, but the worst of it is here in this purple zone. And it won't be purple code air quality as it gets here, but it will be code red as we head into tomorrow, especially overnight tonight, early tomorrow. Tomorrow morning is going to be the worst of it as the air kind of calms down. That's when it's unhealthy for all groups, and it will stay that way for much of the day tomorrow. Things will gradually improve on Friday. I'll let you know when rain finally comes to wash us out and change the winds. That's my Weather Authority forecast.
Jonathan, thank you. Scan the QR code on your screen to share pictures of the smoke in your neighborhood. It will take you to our website, foxbaltimore.com/chime-in, where you can upload those pictures and videos. You might see them on air or online.
And stay with Fox 45 News. Our team of meteorologists will be keeping track of the smoke and the air quality throughout the night. Wake up with Fox 45 Morning News. Justin Chambers will have the latest forecast before you head out the door starting at 4:30.
Turning now to a city in crisis. 4 people shot in Baltimore City today. 2 of those victims have died. 2 of those shootings happened along the same stretch of Reisterstown Road. A man was hurt in a shooting at a Home Depot parking lot around 3 this afternoon. And just before 7 tonight, 2 people were shot at a gas station. 1 of them died. That gas station is inside the Belvedere Safe Streets zone. A similar double shooting that happened in that same neighborhood over the weekend, right in front of the Safe Streets office. 1 person died in that shooting as well. Now, the violence today comes as former Police Commissioner Michael Harrison wrote an op-ed in the Baltimore Sun touting the success of the city's crime fight while he was in office. The commissioner pointing to a reduction in murders and shootings compared to this time last year. But some experts say it's too early to celebrate that success.
I don't think much progress has been made on the crime fighting front. We're just 6 months into the year, and we're in the year following a record high year. So you are going to see fluctuation. You are going to see pullbacks.
We are taking a closer look at what's happening on some Baltimore streets right now. Fox 45's Jeff Abel will join us live with a look at youth curfew enforcement now that the mayor is making changes 1 month after it started. Our live team coverage begins, though, with Vincent Hill and a snapshot of crime and its impacts in Baltimore City.
Yeah, Maxine, Mary, depending on where you get your groceries, you may have to come up with a different solution, because one of the biggest grocers says they're thinking about closing their doors in Baltimore because of crime.
This was the most opportune time for me to pass the torch.
Former Police Commissioner Michael Harrison says he sought to build a department that would serve as a model for the nation and, more importantly, for the people of Baltimore.
To say that we've just come a long way would be an understatement.
Touting his success at reducing violent crime by 16%. But not everyone is on board with that assessment.
We've clearly lost control of the criminal system in Baltimore City,
including U.S. Senate hopeful David Trone. The Democratic congressman pointing to the number of residents and businesses leaving the city.
They're going to have to bring back safety to folks that live downtown to rebuild the downtown area, or folks aren't going to go back.
Today, Giant Foods telling Fox 45 they're considering closing locations in and around Baltimore and D.C. because of theft and violence. Earlier this month, a shooting at this East Baltimore Giant on Sinclair Lane not sitting well with customers.
Yeah, we should fear for our safety. Everybody should. Nobody want to get killed. Crime is everywhere.
As Harrison makes his exit, carjackings sit at over 200 for the year and robberies over 1,400.
And I wish somebody would have asked him why he's leaving if it is such a better place.
Law enforcement analyst Melissa Pinkleton raising questions about the 16% reduction in violent crime.
You should ask the victims of those robberies and carjackings. Just because a shot doesn't come out of the gun doesn't mean a gun pointed in your face is not violent and one of the most scary things that has ever happened in your life.
Pinkleton says Harrison's legacy is more about what he makes it than the reality of crimes across the city.
He can pick and choose and cherry pick kind of what his successes and failures were. People forget that the first half of 2022 was the most violent in Baltimore's history.
Meanwhile, Giant hasn't made that decision official to close stores here in Baltimore, but they say they're heavily weighing that option. For now, we're live in Baltimore. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Vince, thank you. In his op-ed, former Commissioner Harrison speaking to the new technology and improved working conditions with new facilities for officers. One thing Harrison wasn't able to fix, though, is the officer shortage. Acting Commissioner Richard Worley addressing that during a public safety hearing last week.
We're not getting 100 officers anytime soon. I think the next class has only got 20 or 22 in it. So we've got to do with what we have and ask our federal partners. But a lot of the other things that have been done, like the curfew initiative, the squeegee initiatives, the work with the homeless, the padlock initiative.
Well, you heard the acting commissioner mention the curfew initiative. Now, a little more than a month after that program was put in place, the city is making changes. Jeff Abel joins us live now with a closer look at those changes and the impact the curfew is having on the city. Jeff?
You know, within the first month of launching this program, a curfew van had been damaged, a curfew center had been closed, and now the curfew strategy, which is costing $1 million, is under the microscope. On Pratt Street, it's happy hour.
Here they come.
But not everyone is happy.
They show up when there is people. As simple as that.
Restaurant owner Tony Asadi says the same teens who roar through the city at this hour are not shy about disrupting his business at most any hour, whether a curfew is in place or not.
In a perfect world, yeah, everybody's going to go home, and we are not going to have any problem. But this is Baltimore.
When the city launched its curfew engagement strategy 5 weeks ago, it sent teams of volunteers into downtown communities. Their mission? To encourage curfew violators to go home or agree to be transported to one of the city's 2 new curfew centers. But the effort was off to a rocky start. Within days, the window on a curfew van had been shattered. Volunteers were forced to retreat. And last weekend, the city closed this community center to curfew violators when no teens had consented to go there. The C.C. Jackson Community Center in Park Heights is now the only center the city is using as a curfew center. In announcing the move, the mayor wrote that it will help consolidate resources, prioritize ground-level outreach. These adjustments are coming out of a detailed assessment about what was working and where improvements could be made.
If there is no law, if there is curfew, you need law and order to pursue that, to enforce that. But you don't see it.
According to the mayor's office, youth-related homicides and non-fatal shootings committed on the weekends are down compared to this time last year. But Tony Asadi isn't convinced the curfew, which relies on teenagers' consent, has anything to do with it.
They don't want to be controlled. If they could have been controlled, they would be home with their mother, with their father.
Well, as part of its efforts to keep kids off the streets, the city does plan to keep 10 of its community centers open until 11 o'clock on Friday nights. We are live tonight. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Jeff, thank you. Well, the mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement has played a big role in the curfew plan. Today, the mayor officially announced an interim director for that office, with the current director, Shante Jackson, stepping down on Friday. You can find more on the interim director, Stephanie Mavronis, on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
We want to hear from you. Do you think the youth curfew plan is working? So far, 100% of you who voted say no. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
The Maryland Supreme Court will hear appeals from the family of Hayman Lee as well as Adnan Syed. It's about the on-again, off-again reinstatement of his murder conviction, highlighting a battle over victim family rights. Last year, Syed was released from prison when the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office, under Marilyn Mosby's leadership, requested his conviction for Lee's murder be vacated. It was then reinstated after an appellate court ruled Lee's brother was not given enough notification of the hearing that ultimately freed Syed. Arguments will be made October 5th.
Next on Fox 45 News at 10, Project Baltimore continues to try to get answers after state education data was removed from public view and then reposted with redactions. The official calling our attempts to ask questions harassment. New leadership, same problems with Maryland 529, a single mother who saw nearly half of the funds in her account disappear. We press the new agency overseeing accounts when families will regain access to funds. Into 10:30, a rare look inside a juvenile detention center in Maryland. The Secretary of Juvenile Services faces questions as youth crime rises. Some breaking news in southwest Baltimore. A shooting near Patapsco Avenue, right by the county line. We saw a major police presence in the Arbutus Arms apartment community. Police say one person was hurt, but homicide detectives are investigating because of the severity of the victim's injuries. 4 other people were shot in Baltimore today. 2 of those victims died.
Tonight, more unanswered questions concerning an ongoing Fox 45 investigation into how the state is reporting student test results. Test results taxpayers pay billions of dollars for.
But over the past few months, as Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, many of those results have been hidden from the public, which the state seems to be ignoring.
The state actually has a state assessment window.
Clarence Crawford is the president of the Maryland State Board of Education. When Project Baltimore tried to speak with him during a break at Tuesday's board meeting, he said he didn't have the energy.
Can we speak with you after executive session?
I'm exhausted.
So we tried to ask our questions to Zachary Hands, the executive director of the state board, but he said he couldn't speak with us.
We just have a couple questions about the presentation on data suppression.
I can't speak for the MSD side. On the state board side, if there's something later this week that would work for you, let me know what your availability is, and I can get back to you.
I can make myself available at any time.
Our third stop, Dr. Sylvia Lawson, the state's second highest ranking public school official. But apparently, our questions threatened her.
Man, that's all I want to know.
At what point are you going to stop harassing me?
I'm not harassing you.
Of course you are. I would appreciate that, sir.
You're the deputy state superintendent. I'm simply asking you about how taxpayer dollars are being spent.
These government leaders are part of a team that oversees how billions of your tax dollars are spent to educate nearly 1 million Maryland public school students. And they refuse to answer just a few questions about this presentation that happened earlier that day.
There is always a challenge when reporting data.
This is Chandra Hazlett, an assistant state superintendent for the Maryland State Department of Education. Tuesday, she gave a public presentation about redacted student data, which followed a series of Project Baltimore investigations that got a lot of attention.
We've got to do better when it comes to being able to present accountable, transparent results.
That's the definition of a cover-up.
Somebody doesn't want you to see that data.
In April, Project Baltimore broke the news that MSDE removed, redacted, and then reposted student test results to its website, replacing much of the data we used to see with asterisks. When the results were further redacted, but only for the lowest performing schools, apparently few people were told about it. There was no public debate or input. Governor Wes Moore and President Crawford said they didn't know about it. Just all of a sudden, less school performance data was available to the public.
This is important because the data concerning public schools, how students are doing, can be an important factor when people buy homes or decide what school to send their children to. When Project Baltimore first reported that the state had changed how it reports the data, there was a significant backlash from parents, lawmakers, and special interest groups. So Tuesday, during the board meeting, MSDE gave a presentation on how it suppresses data, but it was missing one very important element.
We are entrusted with their data.
During Hazlett's presentation, she never mentioned how or why the state further redacted the data just a few months ago. In April, the state called the removal of the data enhanced de-identification to protect the privacy of individual student records. This change in how the results are reported to the public, we were told, was federally mandated. But at this public presentation, there was no mention of the additional changes. It's like the past 2 months never happened.
Are you going to be using enhanced de-identification in August when the new data comes out? Because it wasn't mentioned today in the board meeting.
Late Tuesday afternoon, after the board meeting, we sent an email to these government officials asking the questions we tried to ask in person.
You don't think the public deserves to know any of these answers?
Wednesday evening, we received this reply. MSDE does not say that it's continuing enhanced de-identification, but the state does say the data disclosure avoidance methods used in 2022 will continue through 2023. In other words, moving forward, if a Maryland public school performs well, parents and taxpayers can see the results. If a school performs too poorly, the results may be redacted. But for some reason, the state did not explain that to the public on Tuesday when it had the chance.
And with that, I will turn it back over to Mr. Chaudhry, the board, for any questions.
I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Are you a parent concerned about your child's education? Do you have a story you want Project Baltimore to investigate? Well, we want to hear from you. Call the tip line or send us an email.
We won the battle, but the war is still to be fought.
Baltimore judge sides with Baltimore residents in their lawsuit against BGE over external gas regulators. What happened in court today and what comes next right after the break?
And the wildfires continue to burn in Canada and send smoke and haze our way. Maybe not the best day for the pool tomorrow, although temperatures look great. The air quality is at code red levels, so spend as much time possible inside, and that includes everybody in the general public for tomorrow. Not a whole lot of chance of any showers to wash us out tomorrow, but things beginning to change by Friday and Saturday. I'm going to let you know how long the chances of rain stay into your July 4th holiday weekend forecast coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
A judge is siding with Baltimore residents in the ongoing battle with BGE and its project to install external gas regulators.
The judge also ordering the company to turn gas service back on for residents who've refused to comply.
Fox 45's Amy Simpson has the story.
A win today for Baltimore residents. A judge granting a temporary restraining order in a class action lawsuit against BGE's project to install external gas regulators outside thousands of homes.
BG&E is not permitted to install an exterior regulator over the objection of anyone in Baltimore City, and they can't turn off or threaten to turn off gas service if someone so declines.
BGE maintains the utility work is to improve safety, moving gas meters outside instead of inside homes. Also meant to speed up gas delivery across Baltimore.
This is the justice we were seeking.
But residents started pushing back. Their attorney today arguing this is about profits, not safety, alleging BGE has been coercing residents to agree to the construction, not knowing their rights.
This is the kind of bully that we're dealing with.
Homeowners and residents gathered grassroots style in recent months.
Nobody here wanted to learn as much as we've learned about external and internal installations, believe me. But it started small groups scattered across the city that came together.
These women, referring to themselves as the Fed Hill 3, spent the night in central booking after intentionally blocking utility crews last week. It all played out on live TV as the three were arrested and loaded into the back of a police van.
We're ecstatic. Yeah, I think this is the justice we were seeking on Thursday.
Fight for the rights of all of Baltimore's citizens so that a predatory company
does not roll over the rights of the people.
You shouldn't have to go to jail to fight for justice. This is the way it's supposed to have been done, in a courtroom, in a court of law, with arguments on both sides.
The judge today deciding Baltimore residents provided proof of irreparable harm due to gas service shutoffs for some in Federal Hill and citing the historic neighborhoods impacted by the construction.
Irreparable harm, not just from losing their precious foundations and facades to a drill, but also losing their gas service, so they can't cook or clean or take a shower. That is what BG&E was threatening them with.
BGE's attorneys did not address cameras outside of the courthouse. Today, the company instead writing, "This important work has been reviewed and approved by the Maryland Public Service Commission, was granted a permit by Baltimore City, and is in accordance with applicable laws, regulations, and BGE standards." BGE continues to believe that this work is in the best interest of our customers and community safety. BGE, however, will comply with the court's decision. As for what's next, the legal fight may only be beginning.
We've won the battle, but the war is still to be fought.
Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
We're hearing from the Department of Juvenile Services Secretary Vincent Schiraldi and a juvenile inside a DJS facility. Why each of them say we're seeing more young people carrying guns.
The IRS whistleblower, upset with how the Justice Department handled Hunter Biden's case, speaks for the first time. Hear what he has to say coming up.
We are following three big stories at 10:30.
We're hearing from the whistleblower in the Hunter Biden case for the first time, what he's saying about his experience with the first family.
We're getting a look inside the Department of Juvenile Services facility amid a rise in juvenile crime across the state and pressing the department head for answers.
Hundreds of Maryland families are diving deeper into debt this month as the controversy surrounding the state's college savings plan continues.
I feel very betrayed by the state of Maryland. The longer this drags out, the more serious it becomes.
After months of frozen accounts, disappearing funds, and the state shifting the program to the treasurer's office, parents say nothing has changed as another round of tuition bills loom.
Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor shares the story of a single mother struggling to keep her kid in school.
I'm trying my best to help them, but I'm a single mom, and I'm just trying to even pay my regular bills, let alone trying to get them through college.
As an occupational therapist in the Prince George's County school system, Heather Boley's summers used to be spent carpooling kids and enjoying some much needed time off. That was until her children's college savings were slashed. Her 3 accounts for her 3 kids showing a balance of about $270,000 in 2021 compared to just $120,000 in 2022. A total loss of $150,000 due to what Maryland 529 describes as a calculation error, one that is yet to be resolved.
I'm trying to scramble to make ends meet.
With another round of tuition payments just weeks away, Heather forced to take a summer job, sell household items online, pull from her savings and her parents as well.
My parents, my in-laws, have had to take out money from their retirement funds. I mean, they live on a fixed income, but they're trying to, pull together to get their grandkids through school. And it's just so unnecessary when the money was ours.
Those frustrations echoed by hundreds of Maryland families. A Facebook group dedicated to the issue recently surpassing 1,000 members, many of whom took their stories to lawmakers this session, where they were met with a strong response.
Frankly, it's disgraceful. It's a total disaster, obviously.
Lawmakers ultimately appointing the treasurer's office to take over the troubled agency, a decision Treasurer Derek Davis welcomed back in March.
I have full confidence in my team that they will be able to do the job.
But Davis's promise to seek fast solutions seemingly falling short.
We still aren't getting timelines. There's been no transparency.
Fox 45 sending questions to Davis's office Wednesday asking, what is your latest timeline for a resolution? What is your advice for parents struggling to pay fall tuition? And what is your response to parents who say they're disappointed you have yet to deliver on your promise to find a fast solution? As of news time tonight, we have not heard back.
We're just all in the dark.
To avoid more loans and unexpected costs, Boley's oldest daughter, Abby, now cramming her schedule with 18 credits a semester, hoping to graduate a year and a half early.
Kind of taking the joy out of college altogether and the experience of trying to learn and, what college is all about. She's missing a lot of that.
Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
The college savings program is now in the hands of the state's treasurer's office after lawmakers voted to shift control to that office during the last legislative session. Instead of appointing new leadership, the treasurer chose the program's former executive director. Fox 45 News has pressed him for answers in the past, but he refuses to answer.
Why won't you answer our questions? You're just ignoring us. You don't think that these families have a right to know what's going on with their money?
Patty is in there, and she's got a statement for you.
So you're not taking questions again?
Correct.
And why aren't you taking questions?
Patty over there has a statement.
Well, Rebecca Pryor has been following the controversy surrounding Maryland 529 for months. We'll continue to press for answers. You can find all of her past reporting on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Earlier this year, a scathing report highlighted a series of issues within the Maryland Department of Juvenile Services. An AG review of the department finding unsanitary living conditions for kids, persistent boredom of children in the state's care, and staffing levels that aren't safe. Tonight, we're getting a closer look at a DJS facility and hearing from someone in DJS care. Brad Bell from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. toured one alongside DJS head Vincent Giraldi.
Yeah, so look, our focus was not on the conditions as you just mentioned, but we've really been digging into this issue of juvenile crime, particularly repeat offenders. There's been a lot of finger pointing, a lot of police and elected officials calling for accountability. So yes, we came here to the place where young people are supposed to be held accountable and talked to the man whose job it is to rehabilitate them.
We come to the Cheltenham Youth Detention Facility seeking answers about spiking juvenile crime. During a field day competition between kids detained here versus other facilities, we meet an 18-year-old from Prince George's County. We can't reveal his identity, but he's been here since last October, and he is a repeat offender. We ask why kids do serious crime.
Most of the people, I feel like they don't got no positive influences
in their community or no older people telling them the right thing to do.
And we ask why they carry guns.
But I feel like it's more of a protective thing. Like
they feel like they need guns for safety.
Yeah, pretty much.
The newly appointed man in charge of Maryland's entire Department of Juvenile Services, including Cheltenham, is Vincent Schiraldi. He's facing increasing pressure to hold kids accountable, but he's standing firm in his belief that putting them all in cells at places like this won't work.
Absolutely. Kids need to be held accountable for their misbehavior in a way that's going to create a pathway for the future that they stop engaging it. Just locking them up isn't the answer.
We ask about the recent case involving a 15-year-old accused of attempted murder on a school bus in Maryland and a murder in D.C. He was supposed to be under DJS supervision.
What are you going to do to fix it?
Yeah, I'm going to provide more services and supports for kids in the community and more productive activities for kids when they're locked up. We'll hold kids accountable, but we're also going to work our hardest to turn those young people's lives around. And I think that's what Maryland wants.
As for that 18-year-old at Cheltenham, he actually says he wishes he'd been locked up for his first serious offense instead of getting just a slap on the wrist.
This is not no bad place to be. Like, I got my diploma here. I'm in college here.
Yeah, so that young man telling us he's looking forward to life once he gets out of here. Interesting conversation. He actually said that he's aware in the community a lot of young people know that they're likely not to get punished. He thinks that bringing them here might be the better approach. Now, Mr. Schiraldi says that the DJS is not perfect. It's got a lot of problems. He's new on the job. He's still trying to figure things out. He said his mind is open to find solutions. In Cheltenham, Brad Bell, Fox 45 News.
Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost sat down with Vincent Schiraldi for a one-on-one interview last month. You can find her wide-ranging interview on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
A procession for a fallen firefighter began at the medical examiner's office here in Baltimore today. His colleagues from across the state lined streets all the way back to Leonardtown. Bryce Trosbach was responding to a fire in St. Mary's County when the floor beneath him caved during a house fire yesterday. His fellow firefighters were able to pull him from the rubble, but he would die from his injuries at the hospital. Another firefighter was injured in the same collapse. He is expected to recover.
Today marks 5 years since the Capitol Gazette shooting in Annapolis. Today, the governor, Anne Arundel County leaders, and members of the community came together for a wreath-laying ceremony. The event meant to honor the 5 people killed during an attack on the paper's newsroom back in 2018. Former employees from the Gazette telling Fox 45 they're touched that the community came out to show their support, while at the same time calling for lawmakers to do more to stop gun violence.
Yeah, it, destroyed our newsroom and took my editor and comrades. And unfortunately, it continues on and on and on again until hopefully at some point members of the U.S. Senate will grow a backbone and do what's needed.
The gunman in the Gazette shooting has been sentenced to life in prison. An IRS whistleblower who came forward with concerns about how the Justice Department handled Hunter Biden's case, breaking his silence.
National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has the story.
There were
IRS agent Gary Shapley standing firm in his stance the president's son got special treatment during the federal investigation into his tax and gun crimes. Shapley speaking first exclusively to CBS News.
If this was any other person, they likely would have already served their sentence.
Defending concerns he shared with Congress, including allegations the Justice Department roadblocked parts of their investigation.
There were certain investigative steps that we weren't allowed to take that could have led us to President Biden.
And you wanted to take them?
We needed to take them.
In a WhatsApp message from 2017, Hunter Biden making demands from a Chinese associate, mentioning multiple times his dad was there next to him. This associate, Henry Zhao, is a member of the Chinese Communist Party, according to reporting by the New York Post. Reporters continuing to pressure the president on his involvement.
Were you sitting there? Were you involved? No, I wasn't. And I don't know.
Were you? No.
The House Oversight Committee releasing another one of Hunter Biden's WhatsApp exchanges from 2017. This one demanding $5 million a year from an official at a CCP-linked Chinese energy company. The first son writing, "The Bidens are the best I know at doing exactly what the chairman wants from this partnership." The committee identifying the chairman as a Chinese billionaire whose stated goal is expanding China's reach and influence around the world. Republicans pointing to the IRS whistleblower as further proof the DOJ protects the Bidens.
This is public corruption.
The District of Delaware still declining to comment. The Justice Department referring us to Merrick Garland's press conference last Friday.
We make our cases based on the facts and the law.
Garland will appear before the House September 20th. He'll likely face tough questions from Republicans threatening impeachment. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
The wreckage of the doomed Titan submersible is back on land. What experts believe could be inside it.
And we are under weather alert for poor air quality into tomorrow. But by the time we hit the weekend, things get better. If you're going to maybe go down the ocean, try to enjoy some of this nice cooler air near the water. 77 on Friday, 77 Saturday, 81 on Sunday. A few storms Saturday, Sunday, maybe even Monday. It looks like it's near 80 on July 4th as well. I'm going to let you know how it shapes up around here and how bad the air quality is going to stay and how long. Weather Authority forecast.